Hey guys, Dale at Holeshot. It's Sunday. I think it's the 11th of October 2020. So anyway, here's the beginning of part 3. I thought I would do this. This is just trying these Pro Taper Adventure bars that I want to mount on here in part 3 video. So I thought I better show you this part as I'm going along. Pretty sure we're going to be successful. Let's just take some tweaks here and there. And I just wanted to show you in case you do this, because I'll forget every little step that I'm doing here that fails or succeeds. So anyway, first of all, you can trim the little tip off both switches, the kill switch and starter button switch on the other side, and this left-hand switch on this side that has all your different buttons, horn and cruise and everything. Trim that off. You don't need those at all. The metal clamp here, the bars are about 22.18 to 22.20 millimeters in this area. Both switches, this one is like 21.7 in this metal clamp, so this can go. This is just a liability thing. You absolutely don't need the tip. So you don't need to drill the bars for these two switches. It was the same on this side with the off-run switch. It's already gone. I trimmed it with a little Dremel or my die grinder with a little cutting disc very carefully. And I actually left a teeny little bit of the bump, just barely, from being flush. Don't hit the plastic. You don't want to make the hole bigger. Just be real careful. You don't need those on the switches. Now on the throttle, you absolutely will want to do that because that's a safety issue, but we haven't got there yet. So anyway, so far I have taken loose the brake line here, okay, on the bottom, but I don't think that's necessary. I just did it to make it move around more. We'll get to that next, probably in this video. I'll just edit it together. And anyway, all the here's my parts. So here's your little holders for the front electrical cables from each switch. This is from the front brake line that I think I'll be able to reinstall with no problem. This is also the brake line. This has to come off, or maybe the switch. I'll show you here. So these things are a pain in the ass to get to, this stupid push-in buttons on every bike, but this one here, they're buried. You probably have done it. You can barely even see them. What I did on this side here is I had my light set up and I was able to come up underneath above the fender and see the button and push the little tip there because you can barely reach it. Then I stuffed a rag up in there, clean shop towel up in there, and then I got a long screwdriver and just popped it out, because if you don't, it's going to go down in the abyss behind the radiator. It'll be gone forever and you'll be cussing. It's a tip there. So anyway, these cables right here in this, get my flashlight. Sorry I'm moving around, that's what I do. I'm a little too quick with the camera. See that little hole right there? There. Okay, on each side, that's where the little holder has to go, be removed. And that's for these cables right here. Okay? Same on the other side. Just go ahead and get rid of it for now. Looks like this side's going to have plenty of play. This switch is going to have plenty of play. The clutch cable was a little tight. This is still inboard a little more than I like. I'm just starting now. I've shifted the bars around. I got the bars from this surface right to the end of the bar here is about 14 3/8 inches. It's really close to that on each side. Okay, these bars are going to be shortened probably about this much. I want to work from the inside out just to make sure I can try to make everything reach, and they're still going to be approximately the stock width probably when I get done. Okay, looks like the throttle cables will probably be okay. They may have to be rerouted right here. One of them may have to be rerouted on the other side of the clutch line cable. Now the clutch cable, when I had the bike off last night off the bench, the lift, turn it all the way to the left, got pretty tight. But the clutch cable is just on a grommet down here, and I was able to just grab the cable and just pull up on it, and now it's got plenty of play when you go full lock. This one is tight. The brake light switch seems to be okay, but this bigger one from the off-run switch here it's not going to wreck it, but it's banjo tight when you go full lock to the left. So anyway, I pulled this cover off, and what I found is I lost my flashlight. Oh, here it is. What I found is, you see that? I don't know if you can see it. See the gray wire? Where the hell is it? Yeah. Man, it's hard to see. It's way back right there. You can see it. There. See that? Those are the two wires that lead up to the off-run starter button switch. Okay? Right there with the same type of nylon tie. And if you look, by cutting that off, it's going to free this up right here. And it's going to give us that extra 2 inches. Right now you can't pull it any tighter out the back of this plastic side panel. So we're gonna cut that, take that holder back off just like we did on the other ones. And if you look, I don't know if you can see it, but if you look, I gotta go here. Sorry, I'm shaking around. It is right there. See the back of the push-in T? That's it. So that's the next step I'm going to do right now. And then we're going to move forward, see if I can move this switch to the right a little bit more. Because right now, where I have to have it right now, the brake master cylinder here is, see, just getting into the radius right here. And if you just barely look, you can see the lever is just barely poking up a little bit. So I want to get this, try to get this all over just a hair more. So this is what you have to do with this kind of stuff. Fine tune it. But if I show you all these little tricks that I found when I get done and what worked, what didn't, it'll be real helpful to put on these bars. So this is just something I'm doing as a customer service thing, and help it a lot easier for you if you end up doing this. So I'm going to stop it here and get to work. Be back soon. Okay guys, so the best thing to do to get this nylon tie T holder for these two cables that we got to get more slack into the starter switches, if you weasel these out of here, you can get your fingers barely behind the wires, and you're not going to hurt anything. You just pull like a mother, and this little T will pop right out of the hole there. Otherwise, you're going to try to be in there cutting it or pushing it from the back side, and it's a pain in the butt. So once it's at this point, obviously you can just snip this with your diagonal pliers. And then we're going to see that? Now we're going to have slack. We got all these wires, so we're going to be in good shape there. Okay, I just thought I'd show you this real quick. Okay guys, the next thing I'm going to do is there's plenty of room in this cable underneath here, okay? The front brake line, the upper one. And this will shove up and give us plenty that we need. It reaches right now, but I want to attach it. I don't want to get caught on here and cutting it or anything. So you see the little tabs here on that bracket? They hang over too much. They're made to go here and here with it turned all the way like this. Okay. So, actually, I'm sorry. They're made to go like this, and the cable's pulled down too much. Can you see? Am I pointing it right? Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this off again, and we're going to cut these little tabs off. They're not needed at all. The little tab there, and that will allow us to mount it, push the cable up, and mount it like so, at this angle. Okay, so I'm going to go do that, and then we'll mount that up, and you see up here, got plenty of play now. See? So that's the next step right there. That's what I'm doing anyway, and I think it's going to work just dandy. Okay guys, what I did is I just took the top little flange and left the bottom one. Okay, and I just took it to my tiny little bench grind that has a very fine wheel on it, and then my deburring tool over there. And you could touch it up with a little bit of paint. I'll probably just hit it with a Sharpie right now so I can continue. But anyway, it turned out sano. So because this is going to go all the way this way now, see? So then this will hang over the bottom. Up here there's a little bracket that would have hit on, okay, on the bike. It comes down. The bottom is still this, the flat surface. So that should work, and then, not that it would rotate anyway, but this will keep it from, it can't move much, okay? So that's what I just did. I think it's going to work. Okay guys, that worked out beautiful. If you can see that, we still got the tab on the bottom. The one on the top is trim. See the bracket in the background right there? That's why you couldn't mount it like that. It was mounted 90 degrees pushed down. So now that worked out just fine. So you can leave the tab on the bottom, trim the top one off clean. Okay, now look up here. It's awesome. See, you got a little play in here. This is going to float. Got plenty of slack now in that cable. Now I'll be able to, now I should be able to push the master cylinder out like it has to be, maybe 1/4 inch, and move the switch over just a hair. The wires now are pulled in. We got a couple inches of slack. Look at this. It's awesome. So we got everything we're going to need there to clean these all up with some nylon ties or whatever. Forget the stock things. You're never using those again. So, okay, I'm going to move on. Okay, guys, remove this little metal clamp from the left switch. Okay, and then luckily this whole little piece with the tip in it comes out, so you don't have to get in there and die grind anything and get crap in your switch. So you can go ahead now and remove the little tit on there. Dremel, file, whatever you want to do, but don't hit the trough here. Just take that off. Just the tip. Okay, the original little cable locator here, Mr. Safety, has to be removed. It's on the metal here. It binds up, has to be slid down, and then it runs into the gauges. So ace that. Okay, and now the throttle cables, before you even put the throttle on, put them on this side of the clutch line. See it here? They're originally over on this side. Gives you a little more slack. I was able to have my buddy pull up on the clutch cable, and I pulled a little more. We got plenty of slack here now. The bars are going to be wider. If you look right here on the end, they're going to be only cut off about that much. It's like the second mark or so. And then we're going to just use a little set of aftermarket bar ends on this bike. So they are going to be a couple inches wider than stock. But they feel real good actually, and I think I'm going to have enough play to actually roll them back a little bit more, maybe just a hair. But another thing is this little cable, throttle cable holder bracket right here. I backed the screw off, and I'll show you right here. See, watch the cable, see? They were pushed back a little bit, so we're going to pull them snug and then lock that down. Because right now when I turn it all the way to lock, it was still a little tight on the cables. And back up a little. But luckily, most bikes I think are put together with plenty of inner cable play. So you'll have to adjust that, turn it to lock, with it fully turned to lock the tight way on the cables. Then you want a little inner throttle cable play, you know, slack. Right now it's tight, and when I turn it, you know, the throttle won't snap back. So anyway, so I'm going to snug this one back down, and then I'll show you what comes up next. Okay guys, we're looking good so far. So I was actually able to roll the bars back about 1/8 of an inch where I had the little dot on these little marking arrows there. Fit me a little better. I actually think I'm going to be able to push the clutch cable down a little bit. We've got plenty of slack. What we're going to do is the second mark here, which I believe is probably, I don't know if that's accurate, 30 millimeters, I doubt it. But anyway, that second mark, we're going to cut the bars on each side just shy of that mark, like a hacksaw blade this way of this mark. And then you can smooth it and file it and, you know, make it work. And then we're going to use some little universal bar ends. You could, I measured the stock bar ends, and I believe they're 16 millimeter by 1.5 thread pitch. They do make a tap for that. I think that's going to be a pain in the ass because you're going to have to make sure you get the bars just the right length, you know, where the grip is going to fit and not bind up the throttle. And those aren't real heavy. I bet these don't vibrate that much. I'm going to use just my little black anodized aluminum ones. There's several out there because that's kind of a pain. If you make a mistake, then that throttle is going to bind up. So anyway, clutch cable's good. This down here is still connected in the center. That can all stay. I don't know, you could put these together with one black nylon tie around the handlebars, but I don't think so. I think what we'll do is one black nylon tie, maybe one here and one here, and then on the other side, maybe the same thing, maybe one right down here and one here, and just let them float. I think that looks better than around the bar and locking them in. They don't do anything. The little thing here is gone now. This is tightened back down again. Again, here's your mark. See there? So we're going to go just shy of that mark this direction. Okay. And when I turn it to lock now, with the cables on towards me of the clutch cable, it took up all the inner cable plate. This isn't mounted yet, the throttle. We still have to drill this. We'll have to drill the bar, and I'll show you how I do that with them on the bike. But luckily, there's plenty of inner cable play here. This was threaded out to about here, so I was able to get the play back. And even full lock, the cables get a little snug, but you're going to have wiggle room to slide this whole assembly in, maybe just an 1/8 inch if you have to. So that'll be kind of fine-tuning this side, how you like it. You know, there's going to be a little fine-tuning. But they're going to work great. I was actually able to get the bars the angle I want, blah, blah, blah. So this is all nice, got plenty of play. Cable, we already went brake line down there. We already did that. That's sanitary. So these are going to work awesome. They're wider, but they feel good. I'm not a real big guy, and I don't feel like my arms are way out there because they got the nice, you know, the sweep back is about this much more than a stock bar. So even though they're wider, they're pulled back, and then I was able to, you know, I had them kind of rolled straight up and down. I was able to roll them towards me a little. You go any more than that, then you start running out of throttle cable, you know, because it's tightening them up. So yeah, I had them first here on the mark here, and I moved them about 1/8 of an inch. See right there, I rolled them back. So, okay, well, I'm going to finish it up now, and then we'll come back to hopefully a finished product. Okay, guys, so this is cleaned up now. I did put a nylon tie right here and right here. Both sides, here and here. And then I wanted to go over your Allen bolts here. Notice you got the dot. Any of them that have a dot on any bike means the surface is machined at an angle. So you tighten the front ones all the way down first. I went 20 foot-pounds. Then you do the rears. 20 foot-pounds, 20 foot-pounds. Okay, once you get your final adjustment. Hey guys, I was just going to show you what I do. So here I am. I put painter's tape as straight as I could, just shy of the second line there. Okay, and then just have a good quality blade. It's in decent shape. And just go real slow, and when you break through, come around and check the other side and just make sure you're pretty straight. It's amazing how straight you can cut with a hacksaw blade, especially aluminum bars, if you just take your time. So that way the bike acts as a vise. Nothing's in the way. You're going to hit on anything here. And I just cover the bike really well with towels and blow everything off. And then what I'll do is I'll take my little small right hand die grinder with a about a 3-inch little sanding disc, a real fine one, or even a Scotch-Brite disc, and I'll just deburr that real sano. So anyway, that's how I cut the bar off and try to get it as straight as possible on the bike. Alright, with the bar cut off, the next thing you got to do is you got to open the ID up a hair, because every aluminum bar, to make them strong enough, has a thicker wall thickness than, steel handlebars. So you get 2 ways of doing that. One, you can order an 11/16 drill bit, like on Amazon Prime. They're under $10, or maybe they're $8 to $10. That's what this one is, and I only use it for this purpose. On steel bars, it ought to try to grab onto it within a 1/2-inch drill and almost rip it out of your hand. So you got to be careful and just do little chunks at a time. Or you can use a die grinder with the proper swirl cutting bit on the end, and it'll take that aluminum out pretty quick. Just keep in mind, you've got to go deep enough for this. So, let me see, I got stuff everywhere here. What I do is I just kind of lay it next to it. There's your cutting flute on the end. And as you can see, I've got the tape further, about 3/16 further than it has to be. So it's going to clear and it's going to go in the bar. So I'm going to give that a go first, and if it gets squirrely on me or if it's too crazy, I'll get my die grinder out. But that's the next step, because any bar end is going to be tight. Alright? Alright, so I've already started, and because they're aluminum, it doesn't want to grab the drill bit and twist it out of your hand. I would recommend ordering this drill bit, 11/16, and it takes it out pretty good. You got to take your time though, make sure you're level and all that good stuff. Okay, let me finish it up. I'll be back. Alright, another thing before I drill it all the way. It's good to have a buddy with you, because you want to try to get this thing level. You don't want to be drilling at an angle. There's still plenty of meat here. You're only taking out this much, right? But anyway, so you want this thing. Me standing here, I can do it front to back. I can see it pretty darn good. But from bottom to top, good to have a buddy eyesight that for you when you're drilling. So it's pretty easy, just common sense. It's just a tip. Wow, look at that, huh? Okay, what's good about the 11/16 drill bit? It doesn't make this, you still got a little slop in it. But so you snug it first a little bit so the nut can't turn. And you put it in there when you're ready, and you tighten it up, and it totally expands and gets tight. But that way you're not fighting the battle. You ever get to take the bars off, you're not beating on things, you're not prying on things, wrecking everything. Alright, so yeah, it looks kind of shaky, but it works good. I would do that instead of die grinding. You just take your time. You can use a teeny bit of WD-40 in here, and just take your time, go slow. Mark the bit like that so it completely bottoms. That way the metal shoulder here with the 11/16 still clears. Right? So now you can clean the end up. Start messing with the switch and the grips. Make sure that the grip is flush or inboard just a hair, so this can go against the grip and look clean. The other side's going to be real critical of getting the hole in the right spot. Okay, and so we'll deal with that. I'll show you how I do that. Alright, this is my little angle die grinder. You can buy these at Harbor Freight for like $20. All you need is a Scotch-Brite little 2-inch pad, and it does a real nice job, steel or aluminum. Sano. If you got a file, it'll work too. I just have the tools. Okay, onto the grip now. Okay, what I use to glue my grips on is just amazing goop you can buy at any hardware store. Alright, it's kind of messy, but it works good. I use a little stir stick, coffee stick, popsicle stick, whatever you want. Kind of smear it evenly inside the grip. And as you're going, pushing the grip on, you got to keep it clean on this side. It's kind of messy with the paper towel. And then, of course, you always get some all inside here of the bar where you drilled it, prepping it. So you roll up a paper towel on the popsicle stick, use a little bit of brake clean, and you get it all nice and clean in there. And it's flush, and your bar end is Sano. So these are the little bar ends I sell. They're about, I don't know, 15 bucks. Black anodized aluminum. They look nice. Okay, so now we can button up this side and adjust your switch and your brake lever, and then move over to the throttle side. Okay guys, so the next thing is to drill your handlebars on the bike for the throttle only. Got to have it for safety and lock the pin in. It doesn't have to be exact. So I just measured it, tried all my number drills, and the closest one is a number 14. Okay, let me double check myself. Yes, another 14 number drill is just a few thousandths over the weird size metric hole. Okay, so that's what I would use. So now I'll show you what I do and kind of how I mark the bar.
Okay, go.
Okay, I got some white touch-up paint. I wish it was brighter. Get a pretty good amount right there on the little tip. Okay. And this sometimes you screw up and have to do it again. Anyway, so what we want to do now is don't let it touch the bar yet. Come over here, Kurt, so you can see. You got to get the lower, at least the lower throttle cable slid in there correctly in the little holder right here. And then keep it away from the bar, push it into the switch. The cables are comfortable where they're going to be. And just, that's going to be screwed up, but we'll see how it turns out. So I'm pushing it against the handlebar right now. Okay, that's kind of a nice spot for them. All right, now I'm pulling it straight off. Okay, then what you do is you're going to go under there, and you're going to see if it's a little spot you can center punch and drill. So let me check that out, and I'll show you in a second. Okay, the first time I tried this, it made a big blob, so I did it a second time, and just try not to have any movement front to back, and there's your mark. Okay, so now you can take that switch back off. You can center punch right in the center of your mark, and I would drill an 1/8 inch pilot hole with a new 1/8 inch bit first, and then the number 14 number drill, and then deburr it a little bit, and then try the throttle on. Now, if it's off a little bit and you want to rotate it a little, you can always use a tiny little round file or a half round file and kind of oblong the hole a little bit, but it should be okay. The 14 is slightly oversized, theoretically, and it should work slick. So, going to do that next. Okay, loosen the switch and the master cylinder up, slid it forward real loose so it doesn't mark the handlebars up, and 1/8 inch drill bit in the 14, and just barely deburred it. And it actually, if I can find the hole, I'm blind. Yeah, trying to hold the camera. Actually, it fits really nice. Just has a little bit of wiggle room. It's okay. So now let's assemble the throttle. Double check the end of the handlebar, and then can slide the switches back and snug them a little bit, and then we're going to have to cut this bar off. We'll take the throttle back off to do that. Okay, so what I did here, I got it all back together. This is a nice angle. That's what you got to check before you drill your hole. Got it on there just with one little bolt. I push these in just a smidgen more, just to give the cables a little play when you go full lock. Okay? So you can see it's inboard here. I'm still going to cut it just outboard of the line, because you can always take off, but you can't add material back. So if we go outboard of the line, you know, obviously then the bar end isn't going to bind up the throttle. Okay? So I'm going to try to do that the best I can, and then you could, if it's more of a gap and it's up, you just fine tune it with the little sanding disc. So pull the throttle back off, cut this side, and fine tune that, and I'll be back. Okay guys, I got this side drilled. So nice, you don't have to drill, you don't have to glue the grip on, it's already on there, huh? Anyway, so now I've got it in the pin, the lower half of the throttle assembly. I've been massaging this here. Okay. And what was I going to do? I got to go like this. So you're going to look at the ground for a second. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. I'm trying. Kurt, I need my helper.
Yeah.
Can you just hold this? Go in front and just hold that. My buddy Kurt's going to hold that in the pin for me. So see here, got a little wiggle room. Got just a little reveal right here. Little reveal. This bottom's out. See, you still got a up. It's probably a 32nd of an inch, so I'm going to leave it right there. So now what I'm going to do is just hit this with a Sharpie, even though you don't see it, and assemble. Okay, be back. Okay guys, got it back together now. In a minute I'm going to take it outside and show you the final product. But anyway, turn it all the way to the left to lock. The cables they're snug, they're right there, but they're okay. So it's full lock. And what I want you to do is take out as much inner throttle cable play as you can, about right there, and still have it snap back. You get too tight, and you notice it'll start slowing up. Okay, right there. So get it where it's barely slower, and then give it a little inner cable play. Because that way, when you straighten it out, you're not going to have a ton. You just have a little. Okay, that's good. So now you can lock these down with two little 8mm open ends. Okay, a minute here, I'll take it outside and show you. It's awesome. Alright guys, what I decided to do, this isn't really necessary, but it's bugging me. I want this cable, when you turn the bars, it kind of gets against here, it moves over the brake cable, and it makes the throttle cables a little tighter. So I nipped this off with my 1/4-inch die grinder and a small, thin cutting disc. Very carefully, I nipped that off. Right there, you see it? There. Okay, because once you do like an aftermarket line, you're not going to have this anyway. But on a stock bike, that's going to allow me to break it loose just a little bit and roll the brake cable, brake line down to keep it over here. It's the best thing to do. I thought about bending it, but it might break, and that's not the thing to do. So anyway, I just nipped that off. So I'm going to readjust that now. Okay, so I rotated it. I loosened it up just a little bit. Put black Sharpie marked to where I cut off, and you can see the little tab now is where it's located. It brought this line down, kept this line bowed like this. Even though it's moved over here, it's better. So I'll turn it and see the hand. Come over here with the camera. Before, this line was really poking these up and making them even tighter. Right now they're right there, but you still got enough inner cable play. I even snugged it where you could have a little more right now even. But see, now your line, brake line, is staying bowed down where these just fall right in that little trough. So I would do that. Not totally 100%, but it's easy. You just got to be careful, nip that little thing off, loosen it up just a tiny bit, swivel it down, snug it down. You could look up the exact torque spec, but I would think steel to steel, you're probably going to go about 12 foot-pounds. So, okay, now we'll roll the bike out. All right, guys, here's the final product. Bike's all back together. Got the line readjusted by nipping off the little stop. And I got my little billet aluminum bar ends. This is good now. Turns all the way. Just gets tight, but it's not banjo tight. I have them, the bars rolled back a little bit for me too. A bigger guy would not. You could have the bar straight up more. But nice, huh? CRG levers. There's the pro tapers. And all the little things that I did all day. Yeah, don't be in a hurry and have a buddy come over, help you, then go buy him a steak dinner. It's going to take you a full day to do this job, but hey, with all the little steps that I just did for you, it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier. I was really taking my time and going back and forth, the best things to do, what not to do, what worked, what didn't. So now you know. Anyway, the best way, the DWA and the tips. But man, those are nice. They are about an inch taller. They got a better sweep back, about ½ inch more. And they turned out really good. Don't really like the lettering, but it's kind of hidden back there. Maybe one day I'll take all that off and powder coat the top triple clamp and the handlebar clamps and the bars. But the bars might be anodized. You may have to have them chemically stripped and re-anodize black. Not sure. So here's Rip. It's looking good. Got the reflectors off. Got all the foot pegs painted. Oh look, I even got a license plate bolt there that I left out. Actually, I just was checking the length on that. But I think it looks good, and I think the bars are frickin' bitchin'. So anyway, I hope this helps you. If you put these bars on that bike or want to try it, I think it's going to be really helpful. And I don't mind doing this kind of stuff. It's fun for me, and might as well help some people out. You know, I might stock the bars, but you know, handlebars, what I make, $15. So we'll see one day. All right, well, gotta go. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll be back with another one in the future. Take care and ride safe.